Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I'm the FPL Penguin back again with another stream for you all. Hope you're all doing well. In today's stream, we will be talking about all things FPL, Game Week 11, talk about the season so far, Q&A, questions from you guys as well. And I'm over the moon to be joined by, once again, you may have seen him in my last guest stream, FPL Focal, who's absolutely flying at the moment in FPL. We've also got it from the FPL Happy Hour, Sham. And hopefully during the stream, I know I've advertised it a lot. We will have Az from FPL Flatbox. He's just got a few problems at the moment, but hopefully he will be joining us very, very soon during the stream. So, lads, how are we doing? Sham, Oscar, how are things, lads?
I'm good.
Very well, thank you, mate. Yeah, it's very, very well. Good to be back on. Thanks for having me. Nice to chat FPL as always.
No worries. We'll kick things off. Get straight into it. Let's talk about Game Week 11 and our season so far. I've added a few questions. We'll do Q&A later on, but we'll get this out of the way. Game Week 11, and then we'll just talk about our season, what our thoughts are. Obviously, we'll talk about FPL Focal as well, who I said is absolutely flying. But at the moment, I'll start off myself. Got 716 points. Dipped down, first time this season going down to 100, the 100k mark ranking. So 169 first time this season. I don't really want to be around here, but I had a great start, and hopefully I can turn this around. And then during this international break, just think about what I want to do, and I have actually done some transfers. We'll talk about it later. I know it's early. I know we're international break. I'll tell you in a minute. So it's interesting, actually. So I've done a -4 hit, my second hit this season. But this is how I got on. Another dismal 50-50 game week for myself. Look on the bench, Foster. I mean, who'd have thought? Saving a penalty, only conceding one goal, and how many? Did he get any bonus? Was it 3 bonus or something? How many? Bonus he got
he got 3 bonus.
3 bonus. I mean, seeing that and then you get a -1 for Sanchez, it's a bit of a headache. I know a lot of people. Sanchez is quite a popular pick with a lot of managers, so I was, a lot of them in the same boat. I did start Williams. I think I'd start Williams, or was it an automatic? No, it was an automatic one. I had Azpilicueta, who looks like he's lost his place now with the whole with Reece James and Chilwell rocking it at that fullback. Midfield wise, I play it safe with Captain Salah. It's I just had to play it safe. I mean, we're looking at his ownership as well. It's quite scary, like over 70%. I know the whole EO, and you probably, if he holds well and everyone captained him, you probably won't get much of a rise in ranking. But I just wanted to play it safe because, as you can see, there's no one really else that did. They all blanked, should we say? So it was just a poor game week for myself. That's why I've called myself here. What a cruel game week!
To be fair, looking at your team, that was a very unlucky game week. You got a lot of players there that going into the game week, you could easily have seen getting something. Chelsea didn't get the clean sheet. Foden's son didn't get anything. Tony could have had something against Norwich. I know that he was even captained by quite a few players. Antonio, disappointing again. Very unlucky, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. I mean, I'm just looking at because me being a Liverpool fan, Trent Alexander-Arnold, beautiful free kick, got an assist in that. I mean, he's not playing as a defender, is he? He's just playing as like this attacking midfielder, and that's great as a Liverpool fan. But as an FPL manager who doesn't own him, it really does hurt to see. It really does, and especially it takes corners and free kicks as well. So getting 3 bonus, it's a real headache not owning someone like Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think that's what's hurt me, not owning like Gallagher, Reece James, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Smith Rowe hurt me as well. So it is a bit of a pain in the arse, and that's what's been, giving me this last few game weeks quite a few red arrows. But talking about the season so far, I'm over the moon to have a great start like I did. The highest I've got during the game week is 674th. No, it was early days, and points, the gapage wise was very small. So I'm hoping I can turn this around. I have taken a -4, my second hit this season. So I'm not all about taking hits very early, so many hits so far. So I brought in Cancelo and Wilson for Vardy, got sick of Vardy, and I've taken out Azpilicueta as well. So I've done a -4. That's my bench. Townsend will be going very, very soon, but I'm not taking a -8 for him. But that's the team I'm going for. I want to jump on that Cancelo sort of that bandwagon. I probably missed out on a lot of returns, but City are looking like keeping clean sheets. He's getting those attacking returns. He was another player I don't think I mentioned along with Trent and Reece James that I wish I had in. So some lovely fixtures for City. So I brought him in. Callum Wilson, we'll have to see how Eddie Howe does. We'll be talking about Newcastle probably a bit later on as well. Some lovely fixtures for Newcastle. Can Eddie Howe get this Newcastle team up and running? They've got new owners. They've got a new manager now. They probably need better players to build, but January, when they're just around the corner near enough. Can Eddie Howe get off to a great start? Brentford, last 2 games they've lost, I think. Was it Burnley and Norwich? Conceding the goals. It's the no Raya effect. So God knows how a keeper can make a difference to Tony and Mbuemo scoring. But I like these next few fixtures. I really do for Wilson. So I'm taking a punt. It's good long term. I'm kind of setting my team out long term. That's how I'm setting my team out. So I want to go over the strategy and see if I can turn things around, see what happens. So that's what I'm going for.
Calvin, quick question for you. You said you started off the season really well. What did you have a specific strategy that you either changed or started off with and kept the same or changed recently?
I like I said, I just kept to that like long term and looking at the fixtures. Obviously, we didn't know at the start of game week 1 who was going to get off to a great start, how Brentford were going to do. I think just Az is here as well. Let's just quickly get Az on quickly. Here he is.
Hello.
Hey,
hello,
how you doing, mate? How you doing?
Apologies, I'm late.
No noise. I'll just quickly finish off with what Sham just asked me. So I think it's just basically, I've told people this. I've read a few FPL books, FPL Raptors, FPL Possess, and I think not taking many hits. This is my second hit now, what I've just told you with Wilson this season. So, and also the old me would have blown off his chips as well, like free hit. So I'm one of them that doesn't, what used to be like, don't care as much. So this season I've been very cautious with my moves, very cautious. I know this looks like a bit of this kind of can be a bit of a knee jerk, maybe.
New manager. That cautious. You've taken a -4.
I know. Yeah, but this is
for starting.
I know. I need FPL therapy or something. I need. But so I've done this. So hopefully, going down to 169k, we're not even halfway through the season. So hopefully, I can possibly turn it around. Son, I know they've got a new manager as well, Conte. So good long-term fixtures. I'd rather own him over Kane. I think Kane heading not in the right place. A few people saying, Conte might get the old Kane back. I'm not too sure about that. So I'd rather play it safe and bring in Son. Foden's still looking good. Torres out injured still. I'm going for it. And I think Antonio will get back in the goals. I think Wolves' defence isn't that great. And I think Antonio has a very good chance of getting back into the scoring again. So that's kind of it, mate.
Were you priced out of those moves? Was that why you did the early -4? Or
Which
you just catch the price rises?
This week, this one.
Yeah, Wilson and who was the other one?
Cancelo. No, I had I can't remember. I have about 5.4 million in the bank, so I think with doing Vardy down to Wilson, so I think it's good to have that much money in the bank to spread around. I think I did at the start of the season having quite a bit of money, not too much, but I mean, then it's good to spread around. I think what I did is I had about 0.1 million in the bank going into game week 1, and that was for the first time this season in 14 years playing this game. I think it was Matt FPL Obsessed book, and he said keep about 0.1 million going into game week 1. It could help out with early price changes and stuff. So I did that. So that's what I did. So that was another bit I did with my strategy. So yeah,
I like the Wilson punt. Yeah, I think the best football we've seen out of Wilson was when he was under Eddie Howe, and they've got 3 home games in the next 4. So yeah, I like it. Good punt. 2% owned, is he? Wow.
I think it was 2%
differential.
Yeah. So just say hello to Az. How you doing, mate? How are things?
I'm good. I've just been on 606 live. They do this thing called Sutton Death, where you go against Chris Sutton and the other guys, and they give you a category, and it goes back and forth, and you've got to name like people in the category. And it was Arsenal players who got their England cap while playing for the club, and I did terribly.
Oh, that's tough. Yeah, I'm an Arsenal fan, and I struggle with that.
I forgot all the main ones. I went with I got three. I got Sol Campbell, Ashley Cole, and Jack Wilshere, and then missed like Tony Adams, Ray Parler, like Ian Wright, all of them. I know, so a bit disappointing, but otherwise I'm good.
Cool. We'll move on to Focal. Do you want to talk us for your team? You want to share your screen like you did last time?
Yeah. Okay.
We'll get that on. Because you're absolutely flying, mate, aren't you? Second, absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
I want to know your secret.
The bench boost. Let me just work out how to share this. Here we go. Let me know if you can see that.
Yeah, I can see. I'll bring it up now. Cool.
Yeah, I had two transfers going into game week 11, and I was considering just doing Diaz to Reguilon, and then I watched the Europa Conference League game where they won 3-2, and I wasn't really convinced by Reguilon after watching that. I thought perhaps they need a bit more time, to get more shored up defensively. So then I thought I'd probably go for Chilwell, but if I did that, I had nothing spare in the bank to upgrade Norman to Son. So then I thought perhaps I'll just do the two moves now, and as a result, it left me with a very strong bench. So yeah, and historically, since the bench boost chip was first added, I've never had much success, very limited success with the bench boost. And I've always wanted to try it in a single game week. I'm open to experimenting with chips. Last season, for example, I used the free hit in a double game week for the first time, when in the past I'd use it in a blank game week, and that went well. So I was 323rd heading into game week 11, and the bench was Foster, Livramento, Chilwell, and Smith Rowe. So took the gamble to activate the bench boost. I'll be honest, got lucky with Foster. He was the one I was counting on the least for anything. And of course, again, as an Arsenal fan, the best possible outcome there was a Foster safe penalty and an Arsenal win with a Smith Rowe goal. So I can't complain.
I must be over the moon with that. That's a brilliant bench boost score. I'd be well happy with that on my bench.
So it was 104 with the bench boost, which was a game week rank of 72. Yeah, so up to second in the world as it stands. I've only got one guy in front of me now, and about 8.5 million behind me. So I feel like the pressure's on a bit. But no,
I probably was thinking coming onto this screen, onto this live stream, must be thinking, I'm doing really well, 9,000 in the world, and he's come across someone who's second.
I know. It's good. Yeah. It's humbling. It's humbling. I need that. I can't. There's always people above you, unless you're FPL Focal. Well, there's still one person above you. So
yeah, there's one guy.
Not for long though.
So we'll see. Yeah, I mean, heading into the last game of the game week, it was West Ham Liverpool, and the guy who was first, he had Jota playing, and I had Antonio. So it basically came down to whether Antonio got a goal or not. So yeah, I stuck the game on. I thought I'd give it a watch just in case Antonio scores. Puts me first in the world. He didn't, but I cannot complain. It was a good game week. Happy to be as high as I am, and we'll see what happens next. But
wow,
yeah, game week 12. The plan is definitely to roll the free transfer. I don't know if we're talking about game week 12 yet or not, but that's the plan for game week 12. I'll probably roll the transfer. What do you guys think?
Absolutely. I can't believe we've got somebody who's second in the whole of the game. It's fantastic. Like, you played your bench boost, and we were just talking about earlier, because when you were last on, Oscar, and when I was on with Graduates and Reese, and we were talking about, I was like, should I play my bench boost? I was like, I don't really want to push this guy to play his bench boost, because I'm nowhere near his rank, and I don't want to kind of like mess up his season, because it's incredible. You went for it, mate. It was a bold move. You went for it, and absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I think it was sound advice, when you said I would save it for the double, but I think it was just at the back of my head getting burnt historically in the double game weeks. You wait the whole season, you'll save your wild card for perhaps longer than you should sometimes. If you plan to bench boost in, say, double game week 35, there's an opportunity cost there, in my opinion. You don't know what you've missed out on by not wild carding sooner. And of course, if you have used your bench boost already, then you've got the opportunity to wild card straight into a double, which still gives you a 1 week advantage over everyone else. Or failing that, could free hit or triple captain in the double. So yeah, it's definitely taken a new path this season. Yeah, sorry, Sham.
Something I was thinking about. We save historically the bench boost for then, and while I was speaking to someone else the other day, what we end up doing in that time is missing out on players, because you might wild card and then bring in those players to bench boost, but you're missing out on players in the meantime because you want to save for a bigger bench or a better bench rather than kind of ploughing it into your 11. So I was looking at a single game week bench boost as well, and I think that's a really good thing to think about.
Yeah, perhaps it will become a more popular approach. We'll see. But yeah, you're dead right. Say I need to wildcard in game week 30. Historically, I would just force myself to wait, and I could be putting out a bad team for 5 game weeks. Whereas, you wildcard in game week 30, you could free hit the double. I think there's many different ways to play, and it's easy to get caught in the group think. Of course, I'm talking from, I've got very, very lucky, so it's easy for me to say that now. And I don't think it's necessarily evidence that a single game week bench boost is a better tactic either. That was something I said firmly before the deadline. Whatever happens, it's not necessarily the right outcome. But there's loads of ways to play the game, and I think it's good to try new approaches.
I think we very, very rarely see 30, 40-point bench boosts, even a double game week, do we? So, I mean, the worst case scenario for a bench boost in a single game is probably, 8 points, 2 points from each one. A great bench boost is probably 25 points, similar to what you got. So, I mean, you're talking less than 20 points. And you've got to factor in the fact that you've got to completely destroy the kind of the fabric of your team if you're going to be playing it around a double game week. You've got to have 2 playing keepers, of which we've got a gift at Foster at the moment at 4 million. I think there's loads of we use historical data a lot to build our decisions, but historically the bench boost is quite a weak chip, and yet we all are too scared to go into the double game weeks without these chips. That's just how we all are. When you look at your chips and you see that you've got 1 or 2 less than others, you immediately think, oh, they've got a huge advantage over me. But I don't think they're not worth that much. The free hit's the best one. The others are just. The other 2 are just
bench boost 15 to 20 points, and you'd be happy
15
with
to
that,
20.
really, wouldn't you?
Triple captain. I mean, 15 would be a
10.
great score on that. 10 to 15. If you don't get a blank on that, you've probably done quite well. Yeah, overrated.
Agreed. Yeah, interesting you say that. I think it's FPL Review. He did a bit of experimenting on what the point of threshold is, and apparently 10 to 16 is a reasonable range to expect from a bench boost. So yeah, I looked at the bench and thought, I could easily hit that. I'll give it a go. And the rest is history.
That is, it's really nice. And you've got some good long-term players. Rafinha is still a very good asset. He's just running the show for Leeds. Wish I had him still. I got rid of him on my old wild cards. But yeah, that defense, very, very jealous. I know you seen I've got Cancelo in, but I've never had that defense last few game weeks, and that's what's been my downfall. But Ramsdale doing well for Arsenal. He's been looking at like a relatively solid keeper for Arsenal. So you got a lovely strong defense there, mate. It really is. I just absolutely love that defense.
In previous seasons, you'd look at that team and you'd think, what the hell are you doing? Like, you've got so much money in defense. You've got loads of like bench headaches every week. You've got 1 premium, I guess Son kind of as a second premium, but 1, like, it's not like a typical FPL team, is it? But this season isn't a typical FPL season, as we're seeing already. So I think you've got everyone in that you'd want. You've got like the perfect squad, kind of. For now, be interesting to know what you do with it.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, things change fast, don't they? Right now, it looks like a premium defense is the way to go. After game week 12, it might look like premium forwards if Kane, starts hauling, and Ronaldo from game week 15 or so onwards. But right now, happy with the team. So we'll see. The pressure's on.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, keep it up, mate. No pressure. Just ignore any
ignore us, basically.
Ignore us. Yeah, we're just so bad. We're not worthy. We'll move on now to Sham. Sham, do you want to? You can send me your team through Twitter. You can share the screen.
Yeah, I can just. Let me see if I can send it through. Do you just want my FPL ID?
Yeah, we can do that if you want.
Yes, 1413. So if you go on the FPL screen, you should be able to just bring it up.
1413.
Yep.
That's it. All right. Cool.
You're having a good season as well, I see.
Yeah, it's not bad. I started off really well, and then I decided to bring in Havertz, and that fucked me basically. Yeah, I went against. I took a different strategy to what I normally do. So I went with the kind of ownership strategy. My plan was to have the top kind of 8 to 9 most ownership players, and then have 2 to 3 differentials, and that was really working. And then I wildcarded an 8, and I kind of went against it a bit because I wanted to get on Chelsea. And then that kind of messed me up because obviously it didn't come to fruition with Lukaku getting injured. And then went against Salah as captain when they played United, and that kind of put me back to about 120k. But then I've had a good couple of game weeks, and it's brought me back, so I'm about 47k now, which is decent. Use my wild card, but have Kane in at the moment, and the plan is next week to bring in Son as well. So I'm kind of banking on Spurs, even though they're not playing great. Probably bring in Diaz maybe for Lamptey, but I'm not really sure on that because I need to make some money up to bring in Son. So I have
2 transfers, have you?
Yeah, 2 free transfers. Difficult. I'm not really sure what to do. I think Son is probably the right play here, taking out Havertz. The only thing that I can do is take out. I've got Diaz, so take out Diaz and bring him in for Lamptey or Ben White, maybe Reguilon or Emerson. So I'm not really sure what I'm doing yet. The problem is that my bench next week is looking tough. Like I've got Rafinha first sub, so I don't know who else I could take out.
There's a chip for that.
So yeah, it's a tough one, but yeah, doing all right. And West Ham are doing good as well, so happy with that. One thing I want to say, I've seen a lot of people wanting to take out Antonio. Don't do it. We're playing so good at the moment. I know we've got tough fixtures coming up, but I wouldn't be looking at taking Antonio out.
Yeah, just to quickly touch on what you said, Antonio. I mean, I'm a Liverpool fan. I'm a bit gutted, obviously, you beat us. But, Moyes has done very, very well at West Ham. He's really got them going, really, really attacking. I think with Liverpool as well, like we did against Brighton, a bit like against Atletico Madrid, we left too much space in our defence on the attack. And having someone like Antonio bearing down on goal with his agility is a bit, a bit of a worrying sign for us. But yeah,
he did a couple of times, wasn't he? Like he's another game where I felt he could have come away with a return. He could have got squared the ball from was it Fornals, but didn't. And then was one where he tripped over his own feet and didn't score. So, yeah, he was unlucky.
I literally had Fornals on my team a few game weeks ago, and when was it a goal and assist or 2 goals or in that game against Liverpool, I was like, oh God, you just don't want that. I mean, that's the highs and lows of FPL. But yeah, it's
game
lovely.
week 16. Everyone's gonna want another West Ham.
I like Bowen
midfielder.
I like Bowen.
Yeah,
Bowen,
Fornals, either one of them two, even Ben Rama. But I would say at the moment, Bowen and Fornals are playing particularly well.
Yeah, and talk about Antonio. I'd never get rid of him. I think I know he's had games where he's blanked, like he get blanked against Villa as well. I still think he's a very, very good player. And when those other good fixtures come, that lovely fixture turn, I'd like to have him and Bowen maybe, or maybe get Fornals back in. I'm not so keen on your defence at the moment, but I'd really do like the attack and probably might go triple attack. Well, I definitely want to go double West Ham attack when very, very soon. Very, very soon. But yeah, it's really good. That really nice team. And same with the defence as well. You got Chilwell, you got James, you got Cancelo, Ramsdale. But yeah, it's very nice. Just a question: what are you going to do with Mbeumo? Are you gonna keep him with? I know the last
Probably
2 games.
Gonna have to
Brentford.
Keep him.
Are you gonna?
Yeah,
do you think Brentford will start firing again? Do you think Brentford will start?
It's difficult. I don't know. It's really difficult, isn't it? I think you definitely have to keep him against Newcastle and then assess it from there. I don't think you can be taking him out before Newcastle with their defence. I know they've got Eddie Howe in, but even Eddie Howe at Bournemouth was shipping in so many goals. So I don't see them suddenly becoming more defensive. Maybe see them scoring more goals, but yeah, I can't take out Mbeumo before Newcastle, just like I can't take out Armstrong before Norwich. It's a difficult one.
So what do you think your plans are going into? I know it's still early days. What do you think your early plans are going into next game week? Season
initial
ahead,
thoughts. Yeah, initial thoughts are Havertz and Diaz out for Son and either Ben White, Lamptey, or Reguilon, Emerson, one of them two. Although it's difficult because Man City's fixtures change as well, and I don't know if I want to keep Diaz there for one notable absence to see from my side is I don't have Trent. So I was thinking, do I try and bring Trent in? But there's no way to really squeeze him in at the moment unless I don't get Son. So yeah, it's probably going to be Son in for Havertz and then Diaz in for a cheaper defender.
I think those are the two routes, aren't they? You could either go Havertz to Son by a Diaz downgrade, or you could downgrade Havertz to someone like Gallagher and then Diaz up to Trent.
Yeah, that's the thing. I really like Gallagher, actually. I think he's probably come in a couple of weeks. I was looking at bringing him in for either Mbeumo or Havertz or Rafinha. I think he's a really, really good shout. We spoke about him on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. Him and Trossard I like, as you'll know, be able to say more about Trossard as being a Brighton fan, but either one of those two, I think Trossard's a really good shout. Brighton got good fixtures coming up as well.
He's frustrating, but his new role is really interesting. I mean, played the false nine against Liverpool, started up front again against whoever it was, Newcastle. Awful, well, not an awful performance. I mean, a good first half performance and just an absolute shambolic second half performance, and that kind of sums up Brighton in general and pretty much sums up Trossard as well. Just spells of looking like a world beater and fantastic, and he's going to go on and get 200 points. And then you remember, oh, actually, he's really inconsistent and unreliable and really annoying to watch. I think he's definitely a good option. I think as a 6.5 option, I think Rafinha's clear. But if you upgrade it, I think compared to like Mbeumo, Gray, Townsend, I think he's better than most of those.
Cool. Yeah, so it's a really nice team, and we'll move on to Az now. We should have a look at how you got on in Game Week 11, and do you want to share your team, or do you want to type in your ID?
My ID's 500, nice and easy.
Cool. Which
I call in a favourite FPL Towers for that ID.
Oh, I had 69 a few years ago. That was you can't beat that. That was the peak. But
here we go. Talk us through your team, mate.
Yeah, good week. I mean, defence really is just where I'm getting all my points at the moment. Ramsdale, Trent, Cancelo, and James all delivering 6 more, which is great. It was just a wild card really a few weeks ago. I've got in Ramsdale, James, Cancelo, Smith Rowe, Rafinha, Foden. They've just all delivered, which is very rare for something like that to happen. The biggest issues are Mbeumo, Tony, and Vardy, and what to kind of do with them. Obviously, I'm going to give the Brentford boys the next game against Newcastle, but a bit concerned. Got a new manager bounce. They look completely out of sorts at the moment. I mean, I knew Raya's injury would affect them a little bit, but I didn't think it would affect them this much. They've just been completely rubbish since he got injured. So
it's a shame Fernandes is 4.5 as well.
Yeah, I know. If he was a 4
which is terrible. The first thing I thought when I read about the injury was, I wonder what the backup costs.
I know that's what this game does.
But obviously, I hope he recovers and all that. But yeah, that was the first thought, because that could have been a good alternative to Foster, especially with their fixtures. But
yeah, but they're just not delivering. They look really shaky at the back. Their attack's not clicking. Tony still doesn't look like he's ever scored a goal in his life. I don't know. There's definitely problems. Having 2 Brentford attackers is not something that I want to carry on with going forward. So I think this week I might do something a little bit different. I might actually bring in Ronaldo for Vardy and captain him.
Ooh.
which is a bit out there. Obviously, everyone's going for Salah every week, but Ronaldo against these teams like Watford, Norwich, like we've got to consider him. I know United haven't been amazing. There's still creativity in that team. It's still Ronaldo. He eats teams like Watford for breakfast. He has done throughout his entire career. And I don't love Liverpool against Arsenal. I don't see it being a huge score for Liverpool. They've been a bit shaky the last couple of games. Arsenal have been playing really well. Okay, mostly at home. But they've got good foundations. White and Gabriel have got a good partnership. Ramsdale's doing well, in goal. And, Firmino's out, and he's been one of the best players this season as well. Jota's going to come in. I'm sure we're going to talk about him later. But I don't know. There's not going to be many options when we can go against Salah. And I'm just wondering if this week might be one.
Yeah, it's an interesting one what you're saying about Liverpool versus Arsenal, because a lot of the times in past seasons, Liverpool, Anfield especially, absolutely, and hammering Arsenal. I personally will be probably going Captain Salah once again. I think he'll probably have a good game against Arsenal. I think Arsenal look a bit more tight at the back with like Tomiyasu there, Ramsdale looking good. I think Ramsdale will be kept busy. Of course, a lot of save points maybe. Yeah, it's going to be interesting that you're thinking about maybe bringing Ronaldo in. I was probably considering. I've already done my try. I'm not doing a -8. Don't tempt me on that. But with Ronaldo, definitely a nice fixture. But I just think same as like Lukaku, just fizzled out. Great second debuts for the both of them, and they kind of just fizzled out, him and Lukaku. So, Ollie's still manager as well. I was tempted. And there's a lovely fixture turn for Manchester United coming very soon, but it is a bold one. It is a bold one.
I just can't see, even under Ole. I know he's got his problems. I know United have had their critics this year. I just cannot see how United can't beat Watford and score a few goals against Watford, because they're awful. I mean, Watford and Norwich, they've got no chance. They've got absolutely no chance of staying up this year. So I think just for the captaincy, fixture is normally the most important. Salah's kind of going against that this season, because I have no doubt Salah can get something against Arsenal, but that fixture to me is the standout this week. United v Watford. It's United are going to win that game comfortably. I'm not as confident as I should be, but I'm fairly confident.
I think you're right. I think Ronaldo could definitely do well. I think he probably just edges it over Salah as well, but I won't dare bring up effective ownership and what Salah could do to your rank.
If you've got both, right, you've got to go for Ronaldo against Watford, I think.
Yeah. I should have brought Ben Foster on here. He would have gone like, I'm going to save.
Yeah. But are you not thinking about bringing in Kane or Son as?
Well, the idea, I mean, this is like early international break thinking, but the idea, I want to give Spurs another week. They're awful against Everton. They're awful. Well, they're chaos in the Europa League conference. Conte hasn't got any time with them. He's finally come in. He had like 2 days of training. They've all now gone off on international duty. He can't, he's the best man, one of the best managers in the world, but you can't like instill tactics on a team when you literally can't train them. So what they're going to do, they're all going to come back at various points next week. He's not going to have his full fit squad. I imagine it's going to be another ropey game against Leeds, who've been improving lately. So I'm not a fan of Spurs at the moment. I can get Ronaldo. If I see big signs, I can move to Kane easily enough for a few weeks. But no, I'm not moving heaven and earth to bring him in this week.
And if all goes to plan, you'll be well ahead of the curve when Man United's fixtures turn.
Yeah, or massively behind the curve if Spurs do go crazy. Swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
I think you must be about 65 clear of Mark now. You can't be happy.
I think it might even be more than that. I think I'm in the 70s, in the 70s above. No, he's not happy, and and in typical Mark style, he's decided to take a bit of a hiatus and doing that for a few weeks because work's busy. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's interesting move. Yeah, and it could pay off. As it could. Like I was thinking of doing it, and we can see here with the fixture turning. Crystal Palace, Norwich, Brentford, Brighton, very, very tempting, for someone like Ronaldo, a bit, one of those players that he might be taking penalties as long as he's not fighting with Bruno, and Bruno's fire them up to Rosette every now and again.
I think realistically it would be a 1 week punt, right? Because it would be United in for this week, and then Chelsea, Arsenal, Palace, 3 tough games. Then I could move him to Kane.
So it's like a placeholder, yeah.
Burnley, Brentford, Norwich, and then move to Kane would be the idea. Because I could just move to Kane straight away, but I don't know. It's either Kane and Salah captain or Ronaldo captain, and just go all in on that for 1 week. But Kane, I don't know. I just don't really want Kane. I'm trying to look for any reason not to get him. I just think he's got like one attack. Well, he's got 2 attacking returns in one game all season, blanked in every other game. That's ridiculous for a 12 million.
But I mean, if you plan to go Ronaldo and then to Kane for 2 or 3 and then back to Ronaldo, do you not think the safe transfer would be more beneficial? And perhaps Kane could match him over those 2 or 3 games.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's the safer play to go for Kane straight away. I mean, how often do we see a 1 week transfer not paying off? I think it's because of the captaincy is what I'm considering it. Yeah. If it was just going to be a week without the captaincy, I'd go Kane. But given that this is the week where I think we can go without Salah captain, and it's probably the only week for the next like 10 weeks. It just feels like it's something a little bit different to try and get ahead. I mean, this is the thing, like, people saying, oh, I'm doing well and stuff. I'm not happy with being 9K. I'm not happy with being 100K, 500K, million. I want to be higher. I want to be where you are, folk. I want to be second, third, fourth in the world. And the only way you can do that is by looking for ways in which you can get a bit of an edge. And you talk about effective ownership. I like to use it as a way of seeing what everyone's doing and trying to, call it when people are going to make a mistake. And people have been burnt by it. Liverpool, Salah getting a hat-trick at Old Trafford. I know people went for Aubameyang this week against Watford, trying to do a similar thing, and he misses a penalty. They're just, but these things are these are unlucky situations. Aubameyang against Watford was a good captain pick. He just was, and he could have got the assist for Saka. He could have got the pen as well. Could have been over a double digit and outscored Salah. So yeah, you got to keep trying to roll the dice. But this will probably be my undoing in the end. If Mark's going to catch up 70 points, it's going to be because I do things like this. But it's just the way I play.
Awesome. We'll move on now to the Q&A. We've just said hello to a few people in chat. We've got John, Kaz. Hope you're doing well, guys. We're going to move into some questions, some nice, interesting questions from the community, very kindly sent to me. So we're going to do a little of this. What are we going to do? Should get this back on the screen. Like I said, I'm still a noob with all this. So it's at the bottom there, the question. It said, this is from Vijagarth. How do you cope with consecutive or even one bad game week? How to deal with it mentally? Asking because I was 80K 3 weeks ago, now dropped to 550K. So we'll start off with Vocal. What's your answer to that?
Good to see a question from Vijay, actually. I know him personally. Didn't realize he was a subscriber. Good question. So he's slipping rank and he's looking for how to turn it around. And I'm very much a stats guy. So I pay close attention to which players have got the good underlying stats. I like to factor in the fixtures as well. So I look at opportunities. Like, I still think Son's a very reasonable option, even though Spurs haven't looked great so far. So I definitely look at the fixtures. I think even Kane and Son double up. I know you were considering that, Sham. I think that could be a huge opportunity there. I think it's just a case of looking for the opportunities, looking for the players with the highest ceiling. We're talking about my defense earlier: Trent, James, Cancelo, Chilwell. They're all high ceiling picks. So in any given game week, they can haul for you, and that's what you need to fill up the ranks. But I suppose another one is to stay calm under the pressure, because it can be frustrating. You don't want to make any frustrated picks just because you're having a bad game week. I think that's an important takeaway as well. Soak up the pressure and stay calm.
What do you think, Az? What's your answer?
It's finding the. I've been there many times. In the last 3 or 4 seasons, I've been, a million in the world at this point. Worse. It's remembering that at this stage you can still climb the ranks really, really quickly. You have one good week and you can go from 1 million to 200,000, 100,000. There's so much. It's still very tight and congested around the point. So it's finding that line between remaining calm, like Focal says, don't get Mane in for Salah and think, oh, everyone's got Salah, so I'm going to go different, because that can end up making it even worse. Then you can go down the risk. But making kind of sensible differential picks around that people aren't really considering. So carry on doing your research, watch loads of games, and don't worry so much about what others are doing. Like, don't think, oh, everyone's getting Reece James, so I won't get him because he's not going to impact me. You're not competing against the 10 people in your mini league or the 10, 20,000 people active on Twitter. You're competing against like hundreds of thousands of people who let them make mistakes. That's my advice. Getting the best players. That is it. Getting the best players who score points is as simple as that.
Cool. Sham, what do you think, mate?
Yeah, exactly what I said. I was going to say as well. We've been there where like 500,000 or million in the rank after bad game weeks, and then in your mind you're like, oh, I have to make punts and bring that game week. It's kind of like gambler's fallacy, where you're also almost like doubling down, like exactly the example that I said, like taking out Salah and bringing in Mane. Don't make silly decisions, because actually you can have the highest owned players, but combined that ownership across the game is still going to be in the low, the single digit percentages. So if you can, even if you have all of the players that everyone else has, or a lot of them, it's still going to be quite minuscule overall. Be like maybe 5-6% overall people that have that. And I think picking out a couple of differentials that are going to help you, but not making silly decisions, like taking out Salah.
Cool. Yeah, we'll move on to the next question now. Who's this from? We'll move on to John Magic. He's got two questions, actually. One of them is for Az. I'll show you in a minute. First one, he said, would you recommend upgrading or strengthening your bench over the busy Christmas period with inevitable rotation in mind? So we'll start off with Focal. What do you think, mate? To John's
definitely. It's good to get ahead of the curve in that sense. I think we've got 10 game weeks over the next 6 weeks. So the fixtures are going to be coming thick and fast, as they do around the Christmas period especially. I think there's a lot of, Sunday, the game week starts, Thursday, the next game week starts, Sunday, it's non-stop football. So certainly there's going to be rotation. It's inevitable. So yeah, definitely I would recommend looking for some good options to have on your bench. And I think this season, it's from memory, it's easier than it's been in past years because there's so many good, cheap options doing well. You've got the likes of Livramento, who's just a fantastic option in defence. But in midfield, you've got, Smith Rowe, Gallagher, potentially still Mbumo. All very good, cheap options to have in your team. And you can afford to bench them the odd game week here and there if they've got a tough game. For example, this game week, I've got Smith Rowe against Liverpool. Happy to bench him. And I think it's a sensible thing to do, at least have some playable bench options ahead of the Christmas period.
Cool. What do you think, Az?
Yeah, my kind of perception on benches has changed a bit this season. I used to think, you want to keep your bench points down to a minimum, have your 4.5 fodders and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not sure that's the way we should really be looking at it. I'm trying. It's not easy to say, but I'm trying to look at it where if I've got points on my bench, they're not in my team, right? I haven't selected them. They're just there. There's no point in beating yourself up over bench points. If you've made decisions based on logic and stats and all the normal things, it's exactly the same as making your transfers to bring in players. What it does give you is options, though. And what I'm finding this year is I've got a better bench. I've got Smith Rowe, I've got Livramento. I haven't got anyone who I wouldn't really feel happy playing most weeks. I've got Shane Duffy as well, who can come in. And actually, it's helping me make less hits because I'm not having to fight fires. If I have a player with a bad fixture, I can just sub him out for that week and bring another player in. I'm not having to, destroy my team, tear my team up every week when I'm not happy with it. So getting Smith Rowe at 5'3" has massively helped with that because he was that kind of perfect 5 billion. Now he's up to 5'7", 5'8", or whatever he is. It is starting to be quite a bit of money to put into your bench. But I think for around 5'5", something like that, having a player there who can come in and out as you need him is viable. So yeah, I'm an advocate of the bench this year. Have a decent bench. Do it.
Cool. What do you think, Sham?
I'm the opposite. I really don't like having benching headaches. I really don't. It's frustrates me so much. Having the choice of kind of 8 attackers and, for example, Smith Rowe being the cheapest of the 8 attackers is really difficult for me. I prefer, so I've got Brownhill as my 8th attacker, sits on my 3rd sub, hasn't had to come on at all. But I think it's important to have like bench 1 and bench 2, fairly strong, like Livramento, for example, as a first sub coming on, I don't think is a problem. And then, the second sub being someone like Ben White or Lamptey or someone like that, 4.4, 4.5 range, I don't think is a problem. But I think that 2 out of the 3 need to be decent players at least.
Just to add to that, I do quite enjoy following some of the veteran players and players like Magnus Carlsen and to see what they're doing each week because it's interesting to see how they think about the game and what they do. And he's one of those like yourself, Sham. He's actually always had an extremely, extremely cheap bench. Livramento's a starter in his defence every week. On the bench, he's got Cody and Williams. They're his backup defenders. And his 5th choice midfielder is Norman. So I think it's a difficult one to answer. It's not necessarily a right or wrong answer because when you put maximum value out on the field, it can make up for it. But you have to accept there will be weeks when players just don't play and you're going to end up with Cody coming off your bench for a 1-pointer like he did last game week.
I think we might start seeing a bit of a shift back to normal because I think at the moment I'm kind of happy with my bench because there isn't loads of premiums that I'm sort of looking for. Like Kane isn't really an option. Ronaldo's gone off the board. Lukaku's been injured. De Bruyne is not a factor. Mane's too expensive. All this kind of stuff. We could easily. You've got to stay kind of flexible and say, okay, I'm going to drop this bench idea at the moment because there's expensive players that I want. The only way I can get to them is by reduce the amount of money on my bench. But I just think for now, until those options emerge, and especially over Christmas, I think we might start seeing that shift kind of January time. But for now, I'm relatively happy. Yeah, the bench points are annoying, but I'm trying to not get too annoyed by it. I mean, I had 20 plus on my bench this week, and like Foster was on my bench. So I'm not going to play him. He's away at Arsenal. Livramento, the defenders I played were better picks than Livramento this week, even though he got 6, and they all outscored him anyway. So sometimes you just got to, not beat yourself up so much.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's the nature of the game. You have to make the most logical decision with the information in front of you at the time and accept the outcome.
Yeah.
Easy to say.
Easy to say, yeah.
Got one last
Still
question.
ruins your weekend.
One last question from John Magic. It's for what's your favourite cider? Non-FPL related, but he wanted to ask this question. What's your favourite cider?
My favourite cider? Well,
are you a cider drinker?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like a massive cider drinker. I find, sometimes if you have a couple of nights out in a row, I might start with beer, and then the next night I can't drink beer again. So then I'll switch to a nice cider. I do like the old malts, like the kiwi and lime, and they do like some fruity ones, which are quite nice. Magners is always a nice on a warm day, which we haven't got at the moment. I tried Inch's cider, which I really like. Inch's cider is like the closest to like apple juice I've had. I think it's probably the most dangerous one. I try and stay away from like the 8% ones. There was one at my old uni called Biddington's, which was like a night ender. It was like 8.5% or something. So yeah, none of those these days. I try and go for the ones that actually taste quite nice, which is different to how I was 10 years ago.
There you go, John. There you go. I've got another question. We'll go around it again, but another one aimed. It's another, Brighton question for the Brighton fan that is big Brighton fan. Is Cucurella, it's like pronouncing the name, it's a bloody penguin. Is Cucurella, Corella Deville, a good option? I believe he's playing left back at the minute for Brighton, isn't he? What's he looking like? Is he looking good in matches?
He's very good. I don't know. He's never going to score. He's got one of the worst shots I think I've ever seen on a play. He's had a couple from outside the box, which have just been like, wayward doesn't even do justice to how far away from the goal his shots have gone. But he's playing left wing back. He's playing left wing back in a side where our wing backs are there to create chances, and I think it's an area where we haven't really had options, even though it's quite a key part of our game. With Lamptey being injured last season, we've had Solly March come in, we've had Veltman play there, who's not really an attacking minded right wing back. So I think with Lamptey and Cucurella, we've got two really, really attacking players in that position now who should start creating chances. The issue with him is the price. At 5 million, he's the same amount of money as Dunk. I'd have him over Dunk, for example. But would
you not think he's Lamptey's a better option than Cucurella?
I don't think Lamptey's going to get. You're always going to be worried he's going to miss out. That's the problem. He's come back. He's had this hamstring injury. He's been out for ages. He's been properly managed back in the team. It was his first start in like a year and a half or something the other day. When he plays, he's going to be great value, but I think he's going to miss the odd game because Veltman can do a decent job there. I'd have if you're intent of picking one, I'd pick Cucurella over Lamptey for now. I think you can then assess it in a few months.
Yeah, Lamptey was a very frustrating pick last season. I owned him for various periods. Yeah, and he was in and out of the team, quite injury prone.
I tell you what, though, he is so good, and it's so nice to see that he hasn't lost any of his pace or acceleration or his attacking threat. If you watch the game against Newcastle, he's just basically standing on like the edge of the penalty area, just like, give me the ball. And Brighton are doing everything but give him the ball. And as soon as they give him the ball, he creates a chance. He gets into the box. He's an absolutely electric player, and he will.
Is he a Chelsea loanee or is he your?
No, we bought him.
Oh, you bought him? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we bought him. We bought him last season. Yeah, he was linked. Then he was linked with like Bayern Munich and places like almost immediately because he's really, really, really good. The big worry is with his hamstrings now, but hopefully with the surgery he's over that. I love him. He's my favourite player in the team by far.
Cool. What about you, lads? Are you Sham? Are you interested? We'll talk about Brighton assets because talk about this in the last stream. I can't remember if it was with. I think you were on it, weren't you, Focal? We were talking about attacking assets for Brighton. I think it was. I'm not too sure, but I don't know what Az thinks because we'll ask you because you're the Brighton fan. But what's your thoughts on? Because we were talking about Trossard earlier. He's playing a more centre forward role. Do you think someone like Trossard? I know a lot of people still see the defence more appealing, probably getting the points like Duffy and maybe Corella, but likes of Duffy and Sanchez. But in past, if you said that to me to look at attacking options for Brighton, I know they're having a great season. I would never have even considered thinking of going for a Brighton attacker. Do you think it's bold, or do you think maybe one day this season, one game, we might take a punt on someone like Trossard, or do you think it's a bit too bold?
I think Trossard is a great option going forward. I really do. I think, like I said, he is frustrating, but he is playing out of position. And when you've got a player playing out of position, you've got to at least consider them. He's also our main threat in general. Mopé's in and out of the team now. I don't think he'll be long till he's sold. Hopefully, he's awful. I cannot stress how bad I think he is. I know I had him in my team a few weeks ago. Never again. I can honestly say, never again. Everything good's going to go through Trossard in this team, and the team is gearing up to get the most out of him. Lallana's back in the side. We've got these fullbacks coming in and overlapping, and Trossard is now the focal point of the attacks, and everything good going through him. So really like him. 2 goals in the last 2 games, 3 this season. I think he can be good value. I wouldn't say rip your teams up for him. I'd say Rafinha's probably still a better option than him. But I think, when we're looking at players like Mbeumo, and we're thinking, what can we do with them? If you've got a bit of money left over, Mbeumo to Trossard is a perfectly good move.
I'd overlooked him, to be honest, but if I was looking for a player, I think he's 6.5. I think I would look at Rafinha or Gallagher before him. But admittedly, I'd overlooked Trossard as an option, and I didn't actually know he'd been playing as false 9. So Mopé's lost his spot, has he? He's on the bench nowadays, coming off here and there.
He was benched against Liverpool, and Potter said it was tactical, and then kind of said, it's a different game against Newcastle, so we might see some changes. And I thought, okay, Mopé's going to come back in for this, and then he was benched again with Trossard leading the line. So
he's always struck me as he's always struck me as quite a high ceiling pick. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets a hat trick against Leeds, for example, in game week 13.
Yeah,
and everyone jumps on him, and then he goes dry for a few weeks.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, he's been like that. I mean, this is different. It is different now. He's playing up front. I think that's the main thing. I mean, he's a winger, right? He's a Belgian international winger. He's got great feet. He's a very talented player. But now he's been given license to spend more time in and around the penalty area. We should start to see more points from him. I don't think there's a huge amount in it between him, Gallagher, and Rafinha. I think they're all going to score relatively similar points. I think I'd put Rafinha slightly above it, just because Leeds tend to be a more attacking side, and he is the best player of the 3, I'd say. But Trossard and Gallagher, there's not huge amounts in it, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just biased. I do like Trossard this season. He's someone that I think I'm always going to want, but never going to quite get.
He's taken quite a lot of shots as well. I think he got 3 shots on target against Newcastle. Yeah.
Yeah, he can do it. He can deliver. I mean, even against Liverpool, he scored a great. He scored the goal. Scored another great goal as well. And he was. I think, was it him offside, or was it the player who passed it to him offside? He could have had a massive haul in that match. His feet are so quick, and he's so clever, and his intelligence is so clever that when he's in the box, defenders can't really deal with him because he's turning in one way, going the other way. It's just his final product, his final ability to put the ball in the net. I'm hoping that improves, given that he's playing up front. I like him. But I'm biased. Very biased.
We'll do one last question, and then we'll wrap things up. If anyone's tuning in, thank you so much for watching. However long you've been watching, I've been over the moon to have Focal, Sham, and Az on this stream. Really have appreciate them coming on, taking the time. If you enjoy the stream so far, hit that like button and consider subscribing. Really appreciate it. Really love doing these guest streams. Absolutely fantastic, and they're great fun. So we're going to do the one last question, and it's from Chatting. He says, best way to decide captaincy, form or fixture? Now, this is a question that always goes around everywhere. It's quite a common question out there. We'll start off with Sham. What do you think? Are you more of a form or fixture?
Neither. Okay. Salah is the answer. Salah is the answer to the question. I would say it's got to be a combination of form and fixture. For example, I wouldn't consider I personally think Tottenham's fixture against Leeds is one of the best. I would say Watford against Man United is probably first, and then Tottenham against Leeds is probably second. But Spurs are so much out of form that I wouldn't consider captaining Kane or Son. So it's kind of like a combination of both. Whereas Ronaldo is in decent-ish form, and they've got a good fixture. So I think, as you were saying about Ronaldo pick, I don't see that as a bad pick, to be honest, as a captaincy. And I actually do think it's going to be quite low scoring with Salah this weekend at Liverpool against Arsenal. So I don't mind the Ronaldo captaincy there. But yeah, I would say it's got to be a combination of both. You can't just look at one or the other.
What do you think, Mutu, Focal? What are your views on it? What do you think, mate?
Yeah, I tend to factor both in, but I tend to lean towards form more than fixture. If Salah's showing the form he's shown, I'm not too worried about who he's facing while he's in such good form. We saw that patch of form he had. I think it was from game week 3 all the way to game week 9. Game week 9 he played Man United, and I think some people were looking elsewhere because it's Man United. But if someone's in such good form, I won't overlook them, and I'll tend to lead towards the form. But I think it's interesting how divided people are on it. I've got a series on my channel where I kind of interview some of the top managers, and they're very divided on it. Some say they'll totally go for form. Some will say totally fixtures. So it wouldn't surprise me to see some Kane captaincies in game week 12, purely for the fixture. But no, myself, I'm more of a form person.
Cool. What's your take on it, mate?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both what Sham and Focal were saying. I think I do like a fixture pick, but there has to be a bit of form going into it. I mean, you mentioned Spurs. I mean, there's no way I'd pick Kane, for example. That just to me is such a hit and hope type thing. You're hoping for a hat trick, but in reality, it's not really based on the might. I mean, no shots for Spurs in the last 2 Premier League games. No time for Conte to consider. So I think you can go a bit too far that way. But at the same time, I do like to look at fixture when in this Ronaldo move. And the thing is, there has to be honest. I really don't think that Havertz captain was as bad as some people have been burnt with. I think that was just so incredibly harsh. I think you could replay both of those games 100 times, and I wonder how many times Salah gets 3 goals and an assist, and Havertz comes away with nothing. It's so brutal when that kind of thing happens, and it really sticks in your mind. But it doesn't mean that necessarily it was like the worst decision that you could have made. So I wouldn't focus on individual moments like that when it really hurts. I still think you've got to find ways to try and, get ahead of other people, which is why I think Ronaldo is a decent pick this week. I mean, he is in good form. The amount of goals and bailing outs he's done for United over the last month is crazy. But it's very difficult. I mean, it's a bit of a gift having Salah because, even when he's not really returning, he's still returning. I mean, even with the 2 assists he's got in the last 2 weeks, it's still good. That's what you want from your captain. You want reliability. You want players to kind of, just chip in with the points. So I completely see why people go for it. It's just a case of trying to be smart about when you're back against it.
Yeah, just say hello to Charlie as well. How you doing, Charlie? Welcome to stream. Hope you're doing well, mate. Yeah, I think we'll wrap things up there. I've really enjoyed this. As Oscar, Sham, thank you, lads, for coming on, and especially as well. Great to have you on, especially.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, lads. And if everyone's enjoyed the stream, you can hit that like button. Really appreciate and subscribe. I'll left all the links to As, Vocals, and Sham's channels and socials in general in the description below. Give them a follow, give them a subscribe. Absolute legends. Thank you so much for coming on, lads. And anyway, take care, guys.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Let everyone know I will be live at 8 o'clock tonight with hopefully FPL Juice, FPL Phillips, and FPL Graduates. Another stream. Let's go. Pumped up for that. Guys, thank you so much. Take care, and I shall see you in the next stream. See you later.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Cheers.